Hey guys, this is Connor at Conquest Human Performance, and this is fitness lessons that you can learn from throwing knives. So I spent some time this morning trying to stick a throwing knife into a target. I bought these things a few years back. They're just cheap throwing knives that are supposed to be balanced nicely rather than using a steak knife or something like that. But just as a recreational pursuit, something fun to do in the sun. That's obviously kind of intricate when it comes to skill. Something that you have to be pretty precise with, something you have to practice to get better at. And as I spent some time doing it, and obviously trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing, with the occasional very mild success where the knife would actually stick into the plywood for more than a couple seconds, I was just reminded of all of the parallels with the standard fitness pursuit. So I thought I would talk about those a little bit. Maybe it'll help you understand why you struggle, why you succeed. Maybe it'll make you want to throw some knives. I don't know. Anyways, so the first things first. The further you're standing from your target, the more you have to focus on big compound blocks. The big blocks, big rocks that have the most impact. So when you're throwing a throwing knife, you're supposed to grip it a particular way. You're supposed to have your fingers lined up a particular way on the blade. You're supposed to have the blade held at exactly the right angle, and your elbow and your shoulder are supposed to be at the right angle, and your stance is supposed to be just right, and your delivery is supposed to follow a certain path. If you stand far enough from the target and you don't throw the knife hard enough, none of that is going to matter because it's not going to reach the target. If you don't have the horsepower behind that throw, all the details don't count for anything. And especially with diet, but also in the gym, people tend to focus quite a bit on the details. What are the best supplements? When should I be consuming my meals? Are fats more advantageous than carbs? Is a low carb diet better than a high carb diet? Etc., etc. And they're not focusing on the big blocks, like hitting your most important exercises, hitting your squats and your push-ups and deadlifts and bench press and things like that. The things that have the most bang for the buck are your calories in place, because if your calorie balance is off, meal timing means absolutely nothing to you. It won't save you. It won't get you to your fitness goal if the more important stuff is not taken care of. So that's number one. The further you are from your goal, the more you need to focus on those big blocks. And this, in weight loss, is a very easy example. If you have 50 pounds to lose, meal timing is going to mean very little apart from keeping you kind of full. You've really got to focus on calories and getting adequate exercise. And as you get closer to being very lean, think of like a bodybuilder preparing for stage, 1 week out from stage. All the details become really important, because if you're trying to go from 5% body fat, 4% body fat, and then making that body look as good as possible for a very short amount of time, everything needs to be in place perfectly. Also, the direction you're throwing in comes into play as well. If I'm standing really close to my plywood target with this knife, it's pretty hard to miss. I should at least hit a sheet of plywood. If I'm not hitting a sheet of plywood, I should find a different hobby. As you get further and further away from the target, though, it's more important that you start with the right direction, the right orientation. in fitness and in weight loss, you can easily get distracted by, I'm really overweight because I've had too many artificial sweeteners or preservatives or chemicals or whatever it might be. And you think that, well, if I just detox these things, or if I just cleanse these things, or if I go organic, that'll make the difference for you. And that's not what's going to lose you the weight. Scientifically speaking, there's no validity to any of those things for weight loss. So if you start out quite far from your goal, and your goal is straight ahead, and you're focusing on those important aspects right away, eventually you'll get to your goal. It might take you a while, but you're going to get there. But if you start off by just a degree and you're focusing on, well, you know what, I think I'll try to eat clean instead of managing my calories, and you don't end up managing your calories, well, then that degree off over time is going to have you missing that target. So the further away you are, the more important it is to start with sound principles. Make sure you're facing the right direction in the first place. Another thing that came to mind. Okay, so I got a 3 knife set. I think it was like $20 or something like that. So I've got this little guy. Now I've got this big one. So these are the two extremes here. Trying to throw the little ones off the bat. It's very humbling, let's just say. The smaller the knife is, the more rotation it will do in the air, and the more times it'll rotate end over end in the air before it hits its target. So if you start with the little one, if you start with those details again, results will be a lot more erratic. You may not understand why you're getting results or why you're not getting results. But if you start with the big one, you start with the big simple things, it gives you that clear direction, keeps you on track. At least it's a little less chaotic. In actual knife throwing, it's still very chaotic because, man, this is really hard. But start with the big rocks again. Another thing that struck me right away was, okay, so I did some research. What is the right grip to use? What's the right orientation of the elbow and the shoulder? What's the right delivery? Should I be trying to throw it hard or soft or what? Because I wanted to know the technique. Because, well, that's just how my mind operates. I didn't want to wing it. So as I'm standing there throwing, I'm not really that focused on is the knife going to sink into the target. I'm focused on, am I doing this in such a way that I'm giving myself a chance to hit the target, to give myself a chance to get better over time so that I can hit the target more consistently, eventually sink that knife in. And that's kind of how you have to approach the gym and the kitchen. Maybe you're focused on a number result right away or a very concrete result right away. You'll do whatever you have to do to get that result. But doing whatever you have to do isn't necessarily the most sustainable thing. It's not necessarily the thing that will get you the best results over time. It pays much better dividends to make sure that you learn how to do things right in the first place. To make sure that you understand the principles behind what you're doing in the first place. And then over time, if you want to color that with your own experience and you say, I'm tired of playing the slow game, I just want to get some results right away, you know what you're doing. You know how to manipulate the variables. But if you don't start with a good technique, the good principles, the good methods at the start, and you become all of the results, you won't understand where those results are coming from. In most cases, you're just going to work hard until you see something. Hopefully it's the thing you want to see. And then at that point, you're going to have another kind of reactionary approach. So make sure you try to master the technique, master the skills and the principles, and understand why you're giving yourself a chance at results, if you are giving yourself a chance at results. And then building off of that, I ended up sticking the knife in the target more when I practiced that technique for about 20 minutes or so and failed a whole bunch. And then after that, I started doing what felt a bit more natural to me. If I did what felt more natural to me right off the bat, right when I walked out to the target in the first place, who knows what would have happened. Like, it would have been really chaotic. I'd be probably trying to throw it like I throw a baseball or throw the ball for Dexter or something like that. So I didn't do that. I practiced the skills first. I learned the skill to some degree, and then I started winging it a little bit. And I thought, okay, so here's what I'm supposed to do. If I think about it a little bit less and I go with what feels good for my body while still thinking about that technique, let's see what happens. And that's when I really started sticking the knife in the target more. Get out of my own head, allow my subconscious mind to work on those principles that I'd already learned from other videos and articles, and that I've been practicing for the last 20 minutes. Just get out of my head, let the subconscious mind drive it, and just focus on what I wanted to do, what goal I wanted to achieve. But that can only happen after you focused on the skills and the details first. You gotta learn the skills and the principles, the basic technique, learn to implement them consciously over time. And then as you get more accomplished with that, and as you learn more about how your body works and how the process is going to work for you, then you can try to make it a little more autonomic. You can leave it to the subconscious a little bit more. You can tweak things to suit your preferences a little bit more. You can say, I understand scientifically that this is going to work either way, but I do better eating slightly more carbs and slightly less fat, so that's what I'm going to do. You can do that once you've mastered the basics and you understand yourself a little bit better, but you've got to do that first. I only threw those knives for about like half an hour maybe, so I'm already getting a lot of insights. We'll see if this continues, but I'm definitely going to keep practicing because I saw progress right away. So good times out in the yard. Going to go work on the second Death Star gym a little bit more, some finishing touches to put in, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check out the other Conquest videos. All right, talk later.